Good evening, everybody, and welcome to Women Crushing It Wednesdays. I'm your hostess, Christine, and my other hostess over here, Nika.
Okay. Hi, everybody.
We're having a good week this week. And our girl Nancy's not with us because she's in Hawaii. I mean, poor thing. You know, she's over there
I forgot she
suffering
wasn't
on
gonna be here
on the
this week.
beach, and yeah, she's drinking Mai Tais. But everybody, we have a special guest this evening, Rob Acosta. He's a strength and conditioning coach. And welcome, Rob. We're just so happy to have you. How are you feeling today?
I'm good. How are you doing? How are you guys? How you ladies doing?
We're good. We're good. It's Wednesday,
Good.
the middle of the week.
All right.
All right. So I have a question
Yeah,
for you.
I'm good. I have my beautiful background.
I think you're lagging a little bit, Christine.
I think I was delayed. Go ahead, Nika.
Yeah. All right. No. So I wanted to ask Rob.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's stuck. See, the internet was fine until you give it live. Okay, there you go. All right. So since you are a strength and conditioning coach, I want to know, because you work out these boxers, you work out Jerron Ennis, and I want to know, since you get these boxers ready for fight nights, do you think that you could take some of them on? Like,
Can I take what?
Any of them on? Any of these boxes on?
Like
low key in your head, like fighting.
You know, it's funny. It's funny you say
too?
that. No, it's funny you say that because I work with a couple guys in the city, and every time I go through a camp, everyone that I start camp with, they always say they want to spar for 2 rounds. So I owe like 8-9 people 2 rounds, and I'm like, I'm not giving y'all 2 rounds all in one day. So we're gonna have to split it up.
Space it out.
Yeah, but it depends. If there's like rules, then I don't know. If there's no rules, I'm just doing anything I can to try to survive. You know what I'm saying?
All right. So Christine's back on. She was frozen for a second.
I'm so sorry,
not
guys.
Anymore. But you're good. You're
okay,
good
so
now.
y'all can see me. I'm not like doing the robot. Okay,
no,
good. Okay, good. So you were talking about what you do and the boxers that come in and then they want to spar you. That's funny. That's funny that they do that.
They do it all the time.
That's hilarious.
So you haven't sparred any of them
we were
yet?
talking.
No, I've sparred only. I only sparred one, and it's a funny story because I just got back from getting in shape and everything, and then I ordered some new sparring equipment. So this was right after camp, and one of our guys, John Carlos, was like, "Oh, so you got new stuff, huh?" And I was like, "Yeah," and I was like, I showed him like I was excited, and he goes, "Give me 2 rounds," and I never turned down work. So I was like, "Hey, all right, I'm gonna do it." But in my mind, in my head, I'm still like young 20s. You know what I'm saying? So I had the scuba suit on, like a sauna suit, and it was in the summer.
Oh no!
Listen, I ran right out of gas, man. I held that ball for like 2 rounds, man. It was crazy. He started playing and smiling and everything. I was cool.
You
in the
had
first
on a sauna suit?
Yeah. Yo, go hard or go home.
Oh my gosh, you are crazy.
Yeah. That's funny.
Jeez,
But as far as like sparring everybody else, no,
so
I haven't.
I don't know if Nika asked you this or not.
You're frozen
did
again.
You box before you decided to do strength? Oh my gosh.
No, you good. You good.
You're freezing it ain't freezing. But he heard the question. You want to know? She wants to know.
That face is hilarious, though.
Yes, just like stuck. When she's in Colorado, she has this issue with the internet.
Oh, all right.
I know, but so you can answer the question because it is she wants to know: were you boxing before you became a strength and conditioning coach?
Yeah. So I started boxing when I was like 15.
Okay, am I still frozen?
No, you moving. You moving.
When you were what? When
I was 15.
15. Okay.
I started boxing when I was 15, and then I was just moving around to different gyms and different coaches until I found the coach that I was, that I really enjoyed. And then by the time I did find a coach and I got into a groove, I got into a car accident, and
Oh,
it was a wrap
sorry.
after that. So then, not too long after is when I got into strength and conditioning around 2007.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry to hear about the car accident, but I'm glad you're
No, it's
fine.
cool. Yeah,
You
it's
know,
cool.
you're
It's
able
cool.
to still be in the world of boxing.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah, yeah. I still train. I still hit the bag. Like if they need me to do defense with them, I do it. I still do pads. I still do everything else. So it's not like it's a love loss. You know what I mean? It's just also too like time just caught up with me.
So, are you exclusively strength and conditioning for boxers, or do you take on other athletes?
No, I do take on other athletes. It's funny you say that because today I just posted something on my Instagram page to work with the youth. So there's a lot of kids that want to, like in the summer, they want to play football, basketball, baseball, whatever sport they want to do. And then, I'm willing to take some of the children for the summer, take them to a
Oh,
couple
that's nice.
fields or to the gym, and then train them out too.
That's really nice. I know
Yeah,
you were saying that you boxed before and then you were in a car
yeah.
accident, and I'm sorry as well. But
No, sorry.
I do want to ask you. So before boxing, did you do any other sports?
Yeah, I wrestled in high school. I played
Okay.
football, right? So when I was in high school, I played football, but I was tiny. So I was like five something, and I
Okay.
used to play for Edison High School here in Philly. So we were losing to a high school 64 nothing, right?
Okay.
And I walked up to the coach and I said, "Can I play?" And he looked at me up and down like he sized me up. And he was like, "What do you want to play?" He's like, your shin pads go to your ankles. Your helmet shakes when you run. Your shoulder pads don't fit you. What you want to play? And I looked at him. I was like, "Dang." So I said, "All right, I quit then." So I never played. I never actually played the game. So then after
Okay.
that, I went to wrestling, and I did wrestling for about 3 years.
Okay. Well, the reason why I ask is because do you find that you have implemented some of those workouts or the things that you use in other sports with your boxers today? Have you implemented anything that maybe other boxing strength and conditioning coaches may not know?
Well, all right. So when I condition my guys in boxing, whether it's for any camp, um, I'm very, very detailed. So that's what separates me from a lot of the other strength coaches. I'm not knocking what they do. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
knocking their qualifications or their experience, but my levels of expertise solely relates on the boxing when I get hired for a fighter. So when I do a camp, it's more just than putting some sort of regiments and exercises together and then saying, okay, do this or do that. No, it's deeper than that. Like I find out who they're fighting, then I look at their tape, and then I compare their bad habits, and then I incorporate whatever plan I have that's going to work for fitness wise according to the opponent. So that's kind of
Okay.
like what I did with Zachary Ochoa. Like when I got hired for him to fight Brandon Lee, I did my studying. And I said, "This is what we're gonna do. This is the game plan. We're gonna train for 10. We're gonna give them 10." And that's what
Nice.
happened.
Did you
so
find
when
that?
you, oh
Go ahead. Go
sorry,
ahead, Tiger. No, you
when
go.
you are selling yourself to a boxer, like how do they pick you? Do you do like one workout with them and then they see
What happened? Lights out.
Lights out for Nika. Okay,
All
it was
right.
your turn. Your turn for lights out.
Yeah. What you were saying?
Oh, okay. So she'll be back. We're gonna get back to your question. For some
All right, no
reason,
problem.
we are just like having some crazy issues. But
Yeah, don't worry about it.
Lee Groves had a question for you. He says, if boxing ever went back to some day weigh in, same day weigh in, an unlikely scenario, of course, how easy or difficult would it be to transition, and why?
So for same day weigh-ins, it's not different than the amateurs, really, because you're weighing in the same day you fight. The only difference is the level of competition is a little different. So for the amateurs, you only fight in 3 minutes, 3 rounds. where in the pros you're fighting the minimum 4 rounds, then it goes up to 6, 8, 10, 12. So for a 12-round fight and you're weighing in that same day, I mean, I think that a lot of fighters or anything for that rather would they would decline in the rehydration time frame in between. So normally when a fighter comes in and they're heavy, or say for an example, a fighter weighs in on the Friday and they fight Saturday, you have a nice 24-hour mark to try to rehydrate to a significant amount of to a certain amount of weight, so that way you don't feel lethargic when you're competing. So I mean, if it would make a major difference for fighters to weigh in, for pro fighters to weigh in the same day as the day of the fight.
Okay.
See, I missed the answer of like how
I didn't answer yours because it just went black.
Black. Okay, yeah. I wanted to know, like, when you are selling yourself to a boxer, you're trying to get higher. Like, what is it that you do to sell yourself to make them want to hire you? Like, do you just do 1 week of working out with them and like, or one day?
Mm-hmm.
Like, how do they say, hey, you know what? You're my guy. I want you.
Well, the funny thing is, right? I'm really confident in what I do. I know that, not to sound cocky or arrogant or anything like that.
Hey, like, you know what? If you gotta sound cocky, hey,
no, but I'm just saying, like,
you know your shit.
But yeah. I know I'm well worth what it is. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know I'm the best at what I do. I'm not one of those conditioning coaches that don't have this as a background. Like, I know what it's like to get punched in the face. I know what it's like to run out of gas. I know what it's like to compete. I know what it's like to adjust. I know what it's like to be in certain situations. So I'm good enough where if I sell myself to a specific camp for an event, then I sacrifice one day. I say, all right, let me work with you for a day and see what it's like. So I break things down psychologically, and I break things down to where I find really quickly where I can adapt with the fighter and kind of build the chemistry really quick. Once I build the chemistry really quick, it's kind of like I leave it with just enough where you want to do it again. So then that's how it moves on from there.
Have you ever worked with anybody that the chemistry just wasn't there? It's just like y'all just could not get it together, and then y'all decided, to part ways.
Like to part ways? No.
No. That's good. I like that.
I know. It's
the same with boxing coaches. A lot of boxers will go and they'll talk and see if they even have that vibe, that whatever. And sometimes it works out and sometimes it doesn't. For whatever reason, we saw Anthony Joshua go to Texas. And for whatever reasons, he and Ronnie Shields didn't mesh, not taking anything away from either one of them. It's just sometimes you just don't click.
Yeah. I mean, that's nice. What though? I have worked with fighters that their coaches and I will bump heads a little bit.
Okay.
Not nothing where it kind of affects my job specifically, because like I said, when I'm hired, I have to sit there and I don't just meet with the fighter. I meet with the fighter, I meet with the coach, I meet with the second, I meet with the manager, and I try to compare notes with everybody and say, okay, what do you think he needs? What do you think is the issue? What do you want to work on? You know what I mean? I let the group set the pace and give me ideas, and then whatever I find in between, that's going to be my plus. It's like I kind of give you what you want, but then I'm also getting what I want, and then at the same token, I just utilize every tool that I got in my bag.
Wow.
You know what I mean?
I think what you do is like you kind of remix it and you make them think that they're doing what they want to do, but it's really what you want them to do.
In a psychological sense, yes. In a psychological sense, yes. However, I still keep in mind that fighters are very they're very eminent about what they want. Like they know what type of training they're looking for and everything else. The only problem is that a lot of fighters, they're used to one specific way. So it's really hard to go into a camp when they're accustomed to specifics and then try to steer away to different angles. You understand what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
I try to still utilize what I do, but like again, it's like I'm good at what I do. So it doesn't matter what direction we go, I'm gonna find the door.
What do you do with the pushback? If there's a boxer that's like, nah, man, I can't do that, or I don't want to do that, or they just, half-ass it. Like, what do you do with that kind of pushback?
Honestly, I tell them I'm not trying to hear that shit.
I like it.
Yeah,
I like that.
I will be honest with you. I really don't care.
That's what you got to do.
Yeah, I really don't care. But
Boxing
I get people that kind of doesn't have like specific hand and eye coordinations, or they're weak in specific areas and stuff like that. So when I see them fatiguing, right? See, the facial expression gives out a lot. So without giving out a face, you kind of know what it's hitting for. So it's kind of like, see, for women is almost the same thing. It's kind of like my face says it all.
Sure.
You know what I mean? Without the words physically coming out.
Oh,
you understand what I'm saying?
Sure.
So when you see a fighter start to fatigue, when you start to see a fighter fatigue, or you see that they're not adjusting, or it's already in their head, I quickly make those adjustments and then make it seem like, all right, listen, we just got to make these adjustments. Do it this way instead. So what I do is I kind of make it a little harder but easier to deal with. And then they got it. But in reality, you just did it harder and you just didn't even realize it.
Right. It's those mind games, the psychological stuff. But it's very important in boxing, as we know. Lee has a great question. He says, who was the strongest fighter that you've ever worked with?
So I'm gonna say two people. No, I'm actually gonna give a little more. So I got about three people. No. I got about three people that I can say was definitely on the levels of high strength. So the strongest is a toss up between Boots and a guy, my first client ever. His name was Mike Jones.
Okay.
So Mike Jones was like one of the top guys coming out of Philly at the time. And it was early, and I worked with him for about 10 camps. He was strong. He was different because he utilized everything. Like this dude had two TVs in his living room, one for his kids to watch and one for him. He will go in and out of his kitchen, bang out pull-ups, and then he had a heavy bag, speed bag, and double in bag in his living room.
He was dedicated. Oh yeah.
Yes, like he was a little different animal. So like to physically work with him, I was like, yo, this dude's strong, like physically strong. So then also working with Boots and doing the pads, and then sometimes I do the body shield or whatever the case is, and the dead weight power is definitely a little something different.
Nice.
You know what I mean? But I would say them two for sure.
And we definitely want to talk some more about Boots as well. Riding Yogi has a great question. She says, have you ever had a situation where they asked you for something and you find they need something else? I guess the coach or whatever says, oh, my guy needs to do this. And you're like, nah, he needs to do this.
He needs this.
I've recently just went through that. So I had someone, they reached out to me and they said that they hired me because I'm a boxing guy. So then when they hired me for me to get ready for the fight, they were trying to figure out why was the person so strong, but the delivery of the punches wasn't as effective. So as I do it like a diagnosis sort of thing. So I try to find out when the person throws a punch, how well are they balanced? How are they shifting the body weight from one to the other, to the fist, to when they're closing it, to they're generating the power. Like it's a lot to it. So once I figured it out, it was more of an imbalance issue of throwing. So once I figured that out, then I started working on those specific muscles, and it all led to core exercises. So with the core being a little bit flawed, it was easy for me to say, okay, we just got to work on the core. From the core, we work on the balance. From the balance, we're going to generate the power. And then when it all came together, they were impressed with it. They were happy.
That was exactly my next question. How important is core? Because I feel I'm a boxing coach, and I feel that core is like the core strength is one of the most important things. It's
Yeah,
the
most
center where
certainly.
everything comes from. How important do you
Yeah.
think that it is?
Oh, it's paramount. It's not even, it's up for no
Yeah.
debate. So there's a lot of guys and there's a lot of fighters, women, guy, whenever amateurs too, that when they take off, when they're on the scale, they look ripped and everything.
Mhm.
But they have the weakest. Some of them have the weakest core, yo.
Mhm.
Like you can move them
Yeah.
all over the ring, like it's no problem. You know what I mean? They just had that genetic build.
Yeah.
So it's like all right. Here's an example, right? If you can compare someone that's really lean and then compare someone that steps on the scale like a Miguel Cotto. Miguel Cotto never stepped on the scale and he never was like really ripped. He just looked
Right.
like he was in shape. You understand what I'm saying?
Mhm.
But that dude head was really, really, really strong.
Yep.
He got strong core, strong balance, and everything else. So it's like, just because you look the part don't mean that you are really the
Exactly.
part. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? So core is
Absolutely.
very, very effective because it's like if you do abs for long periods of time and you sore the next day, everything you do is going to hurt that day. You can pick
Mhm.
up your keys, you hurt. Laugh, you're gonna hurt. If you try to stretch up, you're gonna hurt. If you do anything on your pockets, it's gonna hurt.
We got the champ Jamel Herring in the chat. He says, "How's everybody doing tonight? We
I
doing
got a question.
well.
You
How
don't you
are
don't have to
you?"
say you don't have to say the name of the fighter, but have you worked with the fighter and then you be just like, damn, this man is trash. There's nothing I can do for this guy. There's nothing I can do for this
A
guy. This guy is
miracle.
trash.
um,
I know I'm good, but this guy is trash. I don't have nothing for him.
I ain't gonna lie. I'm very picky.
So you okay.
I'm very
so,
picky.
so you're
Yeah,
only
I'm
gonna
very
work with
picky.
people
I'm gonna
that
tell
you
you why I'm picky. My resume is pretty strong, and I have a good winning rate. So my percentage of winning is probably like 95, 96%. So I'm really picky
Nice.
on who I choose to work with.
Yeah.
And also, it also matters on the team. So if I think like, certain people are not as skilled, but they need my services, I'm going to do whatever I got to do to help them get to that service. So say for an example, you got a fighter he's lacking in cutting off the ring. I'm going to request permission from his team. Like, listen, let me help him cut the ring off because maybe he's not understanding specific things. And I'm going to help him do it. I'm gonna
Yeah.
do whatever I gotta do so that way if he win, I win. You know what I'm saying?
But
Right.
you
Right.
sound like more than a strength and conditioning coach. You're like a little bit of a boxing coach as well, like
Well, I do.
a trainer because
I've
you.
had amateurs. I only got one amateur now, but I kind of steered away from working with other amateurs only because I enjoy doing the strength and conditioning a little more. So it makes it fun for me.
That's
And when I work with fighters in any sense, like I'm always, if it's possible and it's allowed by the team, then I do intervene. Like if they're sparring, I can call out certain combinations and then it worked. You know what I mean? So it's not like I don't know what I'm talking about. I know exactly what I'm talking about. It's just sometimes, it all depends on the team. It depends on the chemistry and everything else. But yeah,
Because I
I
was
yeah.
gonna
see what
say like coaches don't feel like you stepping on their toes when
I
you
that's
was
what
come
I'm
gonna
in.
saying.
say
That's
that
why
you
I
got to have a
always I
real good
always make
rapport.
sure that it's
Yeah.
okay. But if it's not okay, then I don't want to do that. A lot of
Yeah.
coaches are very sensitive with
Yes.
stepping boundaries and stuff like that. And sometimes, there are coaches that say like, "Yo, I got this." I'm like,
Yeah.
"All right,
Yeah. Yeah.
Get the
Yeah.
fuck
Yeah.
out of
Yeah.
here.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
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 You know what I'm saying? And
Because
it's cool. All right,
some
no harm, no
coaches are
foul.
very
But at the end
jealous.
of the day,
They're very
my job is my
possessive.
job.
Yeah, they're very
You know what I'm saying?
possessive, and they're like, stay in your lane. Lee Gross
And
says,
like I said, it's cool, but there
but if you
is a
have that
very
rapport, yeah,
large percentage
which is
of
good.
times that after the coach says what they say, they wait till it's a little bit less around and be
Hmm.
like, yo, so how'd I do?
Yeah.
Or what you think? What you think I need to work on? And I just give little inputs
Right.
without downplaying nobody because I'm not gonna downplay
Yeah.
nobody.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Everybody's a team. So like I give my inputs on certain things and then just have them maybe understand it from a different perspective and then go from there.
Well, that just shows that they respect you and they trust you. That's a good thing.
Yeah.
That's a really good thing. Lee was asking about fighters that don't have the beautiful body physique, but they're good athletes. And yes, Lee, he had talked about Miguel Cotto. was one of those guys. He wasn't all ripped up, but you know, he had that strength. He said that Baby Bull Diaz strikes me as that kind of fighter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can see that, and also too, like Mikey Garcia,
Right.
Excuse me, Marcos Madonna.
Right. There's
You know
a
what I
few
mean?
of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. The GOAT Mario P says cutting the ring off is a mix of talent and learn. If you have slow feet, though, it doesn't matter how much you thought you can't do it. You thought you can't do it. Am I reading this wrong?
I don't.
You're saying. Okay, so Mario, you're saying you can't cut the ring off if you have slow feet. That's what you're saying. Yeah, I mean,
it don't
you
matter
do have
how
to
much you thought you can't do
good footwork, like, yeah, to be able to like be there to cut the ring off. So yeah, I mean that's a good point. HLD, hello. Nick J said Andy Ruiz. Yeah, Andy Ruiz
Yeah,
was a
that's
prime
another one.
example of that.
Yeah,
You know,
that's a perfect example, Nick J.
yeah, perfect example. I wanted to ask you about Jerron Boots Ennis. He, you know, he's been around. You know, he's been around for as long as some of the guys that are, you know, the champs right now. And what do you think it is that he hasn't quite gotten to where he's a household name?
I mean, in all honesty, man, let's be honest. I think fighters, there are no such thing as a fighter not wanting to fight another fighter from fear.
Right.
It just has to make sense.
Absolutely.
It has to make sense financially. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, if a man's gonna be a man regardless. So if a man gets into a little argument, say for an example in the street or whatever the case is, they ready to throw down. It don't matter what it is. They could be 6'3", and the guy could be 5'2". It's not gonna matter. It's a fight.
Right.
But they're not gonna do it if it's like a bump reaction. They're gonna do it if it's a disrespectful reaction. You understand what I'm saying? So it kind of works the same way with fighters. Fighters, if there's a guy, say like Boots, who's so explosive and he's never lost a round, he's never went past 6, like the kid is incredibly special. But then they say, you know, we're gonna pay you X amount of dollars for you to fight him, and they can like, yo, that's a high risk with a low reward.
Absolutely.
That shit, you know what I'm saying? So I understand the financial parts and the business side of it. You know what I'm saying? So it's not so much of who wants to fight who. It's just you know what I mean? It's more of a high risk, low reward.
And I can admit, like, I was part of that where, okay, I need to see more of him. I need to see somebody that he's going to really fight because, yeah, he's getting rid of these guys he's supposed to get rid of. And I wanted to see more. When I sat back and started really watching his fights, really watching them, I was like, I see what everybody that's high on him sees. You know, he can switch. He can also do a universal stance. I mean, heavy-handed, both hands. He stays long. You know, he knows his range. I was like, his feet are good. And I was like, okay.
So I have a question for that. So let's say that Jerron Ennis Boots, he's scheduled to fight Spence. What would you implement into his training differently that he's not doing? Okay, all right.
I can't really say.
But is there a lot that you? Is there a lot that you would have to?
No. Like I can't necessarily say.
Okay.
But what I would say is that I'm the type of person. I'm a little like a perfectionist sort of person. So I think really far ahead. Anything that I can possibly think of what happened, I try to cover those angles, right? So I already have camps planned out for specific people if that time ever comes.
Nice.
You know what I mean? But that's what I'm saying. So it's like if that opportunity presents itself, I'm ready. I'm ready to rock and roll. I'm ready.
So do you think that Jerron is at this moment with one training camp with you, he's ready to beat Spence?
Well, here's the thing though. It's not so much. Okay, so what you got to understand is Boots is really young. He's in his 20s, early 20s, right? Spence is in his 30s. Spence has been around for a long time. right? Spence, at this point, he's been in through a lot of kind of incidences outside of boxing that also can affect him everywhere else. Like it doesn't matter whether you take wear and tear in the ring, you're taking wear and tear outside.
Absolutely.
So that later on develops into something major. So there's nothing that you can do. Now mentally, everyone is sold on Spence. Spence is a great fighter. Like, don't get me wrong. I've spoken to him. I got no beef with Spence whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? Do I think he's legit? Yeah, I think he's legit. But you sometimes have to face the reality that the youth is hungrier and they're going in there and they're going to dominate. You know what I mean? He's in his 30s. Boots is 24. So in reality, 10 years from now, he'll be 34. And then what? You know what I'm saying? Like, what? Every time something goes on, like, look at De La Hoya. When De La Hoya, no one was sold on De La Hoya until he beat like Chavez.
Yeah.
No one was really sold on Danny Garcia until he cleaned out Eric Morales. No one was really sold on Hector Camacho until he cleaned out like Sugar Ray Leonard. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. It's history repeating itself, but in a different caliber. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And what I meant by he's been around like as long as some of these champs. What I meant to say was, as far as like the amateurs, like he's gone through the same. He's been through the system. I don't know how long he was an amateur, like when he started boxing, but he's done all of that. And now I do believe that he is the future. I really do. And like I said, I was on the same train as everybody else. Like, no, I need to see something. But then when I really just broke it down and saw, I was like, okay.
You know what the issue is too with a lot of people, what they don't tend to realize, man, is that when you're a fan of the sport, that's okay. You are a fan of the sport. You're a fan of specific fighters. You're a fan of this, fan of that. But when you're looking at things on a coaching standpoint, or you're looking at things when you're in the actual inside of involvement from the sport, you can see specific features that a person can possess than others can't. Absolutely. And you say, well, he's good at this, but he's better at it because I know why.
Right.
Is there a fighter out there right now that you have seen that you'd be like, man, if I work with him, you know what? I could get him where he needs to be.
Yeah, I've said that a few times.
I've said it too.
There's a couple people that I'll be interested in working with, honestly.
Is there can you say those names or no?
I know I would like to work with Belanga. I would like.
You know what? I think that you should campaign yourself for that.
Yeah,
that's a good one.
I would like to work with Belanga. Belanga's at a point where he was moved a specific way. Like they moved him fast. And when they started touching up the competition, the level that he was moving in, he didn't really get a chance to get his feet wet because he was cleaning these dudes out. Yeah. So now that the level of competition is changing a little bit, it's kind of like exposing him, but it could be saved though because there's only 3 fights.
Only you can save him.
Thank you.
No, but listen, so these last 3 fights, he didn't perform at his best, but he did show some sort of progression with boxing in his last one.
Yes,
the only thing is that with Belanga, it looks like he loses focus mid-fight. Like for some reason, it just looks like he's not there.
Yep. He was looking at the clock, trying to make sure the time was
weird.
Out.
It's just strange. It's more of a psychological sense with him, man. You know what I'm saying? And I think that he may have to be the type of guy that when he goes to camp, he got to go away.
Yeah.
It might be too many people
what you're
in the
saying
circle
is like
that's involving themselves too much in his ears. So he may have to just scatter off, you know what I mean? Go to like Big Bear, to Poconos or something. Somewhere. You know what I'm saying? And then go really have a good training camp out there.
It's so crazy because you're speaking my language, because yes, he did show some learned boxing stuff. You know, he was throwing his jab, you know, he would step back before, but he was just going forward. He was the monster. He was, you know, his feet looked a little better, but still you see that there needs some work. But it seems like he didn't know how to turn on the monster and the boxing. Like he didn't know where to gauge it.
Right. There's a gap of of a connection between turning on the dog and then
Yes.
turning into taking it to that next level.
Right.
You know what I'm
Right.
saying? And it's there, but I don't think it's
I
brought
agree
out
with
of
you.
him yet. Like,
I
all right, so
agree.
for
I
example,
agree.
I think Teofimo has that dog in him where he's gonna give it his all.
Yes.
But there's some things that happens in Teofimo's life outside of boxing that he brings into the ring. And
Yeah.
I think that that's a lot of this, that could be majority of a very
Yeah.
large issue of what he goes on. So it's kind of like if you're in a relationship, right? And you have a bad, your significant other has a bad day. They come home, they mad, and you can be like, "Why are you mad? Like, why are you taking out on me? You're supposed to leave
Yeah.
that shit in the house. You know what I'm saying? You're supposed to leave it at the job." But no, some people just can't separate the two.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That's true. The GOAT Mario P said Berlanga doesn't even fight off his jab. He couldn't even do that. He wasn't. He was holding on to that right hand. I got to the point where I was like, "Is it hurt?" Like he was. I'm thinking like they told him, "Okay, you need to jab more. You need to jab
All
more."
right, let me ask y'all
But
this.
that's all he was doing.
Let me ask y'all this. What is the actual difference of him being like stylistically flawed compared to a Wilder? Wilder always relies on his right hand. Wilder didn't show that he could box. Wilder didn't show that he could go to the body. So what's really the difference? Everybody was hype on Wilder.
Right. I see. I agree with you because everybody wants to throw Berlanga away. They're done with him. And I'm
but a lot of people also wanted to throw Danny away too.
Right. And I'm like, no. The kid is talented. The kid, I've seen him since the amateur. He is talented. There, like you said, there's just this disconnect.
There's something going on. I know that there's something going. There has to be.
Well, before this fight, and when I saw him posting the pictures of him all ripped up and stuff, I was like, my guy, this is not what was the issue. You being like ripped up, like you need to be working on like the fundamentals in boxing.
Yeah,
that's why I was like, when I saw that, I was just like, I'm not sold. I'm not sold, my guy. I'm not sold. With you posting these pictures, but that's like you said, you could be cut up and all this, but you are when you get in the ring, like what are you doing?
Right. So, you have to try to sell it different. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And you could look the part and you look intimidating and shit and everything else, but in reality, it's like, come on, bro.
Yeah. That's so true. Thank you, G Funky. Lee Grove says, seems to me that Berlanga is caught between two styles. I think his natural temperament is the bomber, but his coaches want him to be more polished. The polished version looks like point by numbers. There has to be a middle ground, in my opinion. Mm-hmm. What do you think, Rob? Nika?
I think for Berlanga, it'd be easier if he can learn how to use both. See, when you work with certain people, they don't know how to separate speed and power from mm-hmm. both shots. You know who was good at stuff like that? Danny was good at shit like that. Danny would touch, and then sit down, boom, 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 and then he'll catch you out of nowhere. You'd be like, damn, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
That's what Berlanga doesn't know how to do. Everything has got to be like hard shots.
Right.
Kind of like the way John Pascal is. Everything John Pascal throws is hard as shit. You know what I'm saying? But it's like, come on, bro. Like,
so look, let's say this is a meeting with Berlanga right now. What would you say to sell yourself to Berlanga?
Just give me a day.
Give me a day.
Say, come on down. Come on down.
give me a day. That's it.
I just need a day. I need a full day because I got a lot to break down. You know what I'm saying? But
you hear that, Berlanga? You need one.
It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting. You know what I'm saying? I remember. So true story. Right before I opened a gym, right, and for some reason it just happened to be great timing when it all happened. Right before I did that, though, I went to Angel Garcia. I went to Danny. And at the time, Danny didn't have a strength coach. So I went to Angel and I say, listen, this is who I am. This is who I work with. You got to remember me. Your wife made my boxing trunks for the Golden Gloves one time. So I told him where I was training out of, and then he started to remember specific things. So I said I can really help Danny, because what happens with Danny is cool for the beginnings of the rounds, but then he starts to decrease his performance later. So what happens when you decrease your performance? You're no longer confident to let your hands go a specific way because you're afraid to blow your load. So it's kind of like you're driving, right? And you're on a quarter tank. So you get to New York, and now that joint say on E. He like, I don't know, man.
Gas is expensive right
Like,
now.
yo, listen, I don't know. I think I can make it 10 miles. I think I can make 10 miles. You know what I'm saying? And that's the sort of the same logic that goes on with him. You know what I mean? Like, he just won't put his foot on the gas and let him go because he's not in the shape that he wants to be in. So I offered my services, and Angel turned it down. He never answered the phone, and it was cool, no harm, no foul. You know what I'm saying? I'll still support whatever. They'll still support. And not too long after, I ended up working with Boots.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Should I listen to you?
Did you? Lee has a question. If you were able to work with any old time fighter, who would it have been and why?
Camacho and Pernell Whitaker.
I like those. I like those choices, man.
Yeah. I would have loved to work with both of them.
Yeah, those are good.
Most certainly.
Did you happen to catch Munguia's fight?
No. The one that just this Saturday that just passed? No, I didn't get a chance to see it. No.
I mean, they were fighting pretty parallel to each other, Berlanga and Munguia, but I did. Nike, did you happen to catch it?
I did catch half the fight. Yes. But when I did catch it, it didn't look. Munguia didn't really look that. He looked like he was getting up and stuck.
Yeah. But then, the reason why I bring it up is because you would just go to social media and they were like, Munguia and Berlanga, they need to fight each other, and then the one that loses never comes back to boxing. And I'm just like, these people are so harsh. Munguia, does he need some work? Yes. His hands are low, punches from his chest, his defense is not good. But he too, with the right people,
You know what though? I ain't gonna lie, man. It's submissive and very offensive for someone that has never been in that situation to really go out and call out mistakes. Like, you can do it just as easy. Right. You understand what I'm saying? Like, there's people. Listen, there's a lot of dudes out there, man, that talk that game and they throwing punches like this and all kind of shit. You know what I'm saying? So in reality, like, it's a shame because fighters as a matter of fact, any sports person will never get full credit that is well deserved. There will always be compared to another. It's always a favoritism. That's why in boxing you can really never solidify an actual top 10, top 25 because it's all opinionated, really.
I don't have a pound for pound.
So it's a little different. You know what I'm saying? But it is a disrespect to the sport when you got fighters that talk that shit and it's like, all right, have you ever been punched in your mouth? And they like, I've been to street fights. No, that's not what I'm asking you. Have you ever been punched in your mouth? And then it's like there's nobody to break it up, and you got 3-4 minutes in that ring.
Exactly. Those
like,
3 minutes
you got that in you? You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
I ain't gonna lie. I be talking shit online too, but
but you're pretty. You can do that.
No, because somebody gonna try me one day and they're gonna be like, "Oh, this bitch be talking mad trash online. Let me see if she really got those hands." But you know what? I do got those hands, so don't try it. All right.
Okay. All right.
She can go 4 minutes. No. Lee Grove said, "Do you prefer lefties?"
It's funny. I am a fan of southpaws. I fight southpaw.
Really? Okay.
I fight southpaw, and I also can fight right hand, but I do prefer southpaw. When I when I work with people, I really get excited to work with southpaws. It's like the combinations is a little different.
Yes.
Combinations is different. You can't even do specific things southpaw that you could do right-handed because you walk into specific shots. So if I'm like southpaw and I go slip, roll, then I'm trying to roll into your hook, but then I get caught with the right hand. You know what I mean? So you always got to drift away to your right and it's got to be a little bit more complicated.
Unless they throw that long left hook, then you're in
Yeah,
trouble.
yeah, like the Cubans, like the way the Cubans throw it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that long. Yeah,
Uh-huh.
that's that we do that up here. That Olympic style, we do all that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah,
why.
yeah,
That's why I
yeah,
know. Yeah,
yeah.
that's true. That's so good. No, it's fabulous. Like what? How long have you been doing this? And like, where do you see yourself in the next, 5, 10 years?
I've been doing conditioning for fighters since 2007. So
Okay.
about
That's a
15
lot.
years.
Yeah,
About
I opened my
15
gym
years.
in 2007. Okay.
Um, my first world title camp, I worked with a guy in Philly. His name was Lawan Simon, and I got him ready for Arthur Abraham, and he
Oh
was going to fight
wow.
him in his own country. He didn't get
Mhm.
stopped, but we gave him the fight that we wanted, and that
Mhm.
was it. I didn't even go. I was still in Philly and Kent with everybody else, so that was cool. Um, but to see myself like in 10 years, man, or 5 years or whatever, I'm trying to basically put strength and conditioning in a level of boxing where it's respected by everybody. Because a lot of coaches, they're old school and they don't really honor it because they
Right.
feel as though that it's not necessarily needed. But
Right. That's very true.
every superior athlete in any sport has a strength and
Yes.
conditioning coach
Yeah.
at any
I'm
level.
I'm
They do.
definitely for training the condition coaches.
Yeah.
Yes.
So a lot of them don't get the respect that they deserve.
Mhm.
And a lot of the times they try to rely on, oh, if he goes 12 rounds, he's in shape. He don't need one. No, if he goes 12 rounds and he's still gassed, he's fighting out of heart. He's not fighting because he's still in shape. You know what I'm saying? Like it's just different. If you fighting for your life, you're gonna give it your all, whether you tired or not. You understand what I'm
Got you.
saying?
Yeah,
So
got
I
you.
think that that's what I would like to do. I would like to put the new face on it and bring a lot of other strength coaches back into the map, kind of like where it's well respected, like the same amount of people that get love for the coaches and the cut
Mhm.
man and all that other
Mhm.
stuff. A
Mhm.
strength coach's job is just as important. It's
Yeah,
I,
just as important.
for
I
sure.
love what you're saying. I love what you're saying.
How did
I'm
you
totally about
link
training the
up
condition
with
coach.
how did you link up with Jerron Ennis? Like,
I've known the family for a long time. So I've known the family for a while. I've known Bozy since he was training out of the dungeon where it was like like think of the word dungeon and that's what it looked like. You know what I mean? Like it was like a straight. You go in there, it's like, oh shit, what the hell did I just walk into? You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I was always a fan of his oldest brother, Pooh. So every time that when I was working with my guys and my coach would call me, he'd be like, "Yo, you gonna cut?" I'll be cutting hair at the time. I was a barber for like 20 years. So when I'm cutting hair and he'll call me, he's like, "Yo, look, we're about to go get some sparring." I'm like, "Where y'all going?" We're like, "We going to Bosie's." And I'm like, "Well, who's sparring?" He's like, "Mike and Pooh." I'm like, "Yo, I'm on my way." So I finished the cut real quick. Yo, get off. I'll be back. And then I skate off and I go watch it. I enjoyed watching how the way they train.
Mm.
So it was always one of those kind of things where we knew of each other, we knew who we were, we spoke to each other, and everything else. I think that Boots and I end up getting a different type of chemistry when we fought in Puerto Rico in 2014. So we
Mm.
fought in Maya West, and he was out there, and we was always, we was hanging out together. We did a lot, and I really got a chance to really see what kind of kid he's gonna be. You know what I mean? And he was a
Nice.
great person. So then, as he got older, he stood the same way. Changed, never really showed any different things. And then next thing you know, we end up linking up, and that's what it is.
also, so Nick J said because everybody was counting Berlinga out, and what
Mhm.
Nick J and Boxing gonna have a boxing show on Fridays called the Queens of the Ring, and they said the Berlinga should
Tune
just
in.
probably be a barber.
Oh, disrespectful.
Oh,
God damn it.
oh, no, say it ain't true.
That's wrong.
Well, his cuts be fresh to death, they be crispy.
Yeah,
But then
yeah, yeah.
everybody was not feeling, and no, and I think I got an alert before we came on live that he is getting suspended for trying to bite the fighter.
Listen,
Yeah,
So
I get
which
it.
he
At the
should.
end of the day, man, it's a fight.
Yeah.
It's a fight. What can you do? It's a fight. Is it wrong? It is wrong, but it's a fight.
Well, no,
You
he
know what
needed
I'm
to
saying?
be he needed to be suspended for that. No, like
Well,
He
seriously.
does. He
Yeah.
does. He does. You listen.
and I
You
see
reap
what
what
you're
you
saying
sow.
about it's a fight. I think he got anxious and
He was
desperate,
frustrated.
like too much was going on, like, and frustrated. Yeah,
But that
because
now
yeah,
you
it's a
see what I'm
fight.
talking about. It's a psychological thing. It's something going on in
Absolutely,
his mind. You know,
and
like
that's
all right.
another
So
thing
look,
that's
right.
needed.
So like
Sports
for example,
psychologist.
like say for an example, right? Uh, 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 Victor Ortiz was fighting Mayweather. He couldn't really hit Mayweather. Got frustrated and headbutted him. Like he purposely did that. Let's not
Yeah,
forget Madonna did bite Mayweather too. Let's not
yeah,
forget Red
yeah,
Catch
yeah.
bit.
He
Red
bit him on the
Catch had
shoulder,
a
right?
bite
Didn't he
then.
bite him on the shoulder? I think.
But I
Huh?
Didn't he
think
bite him?
but
He bit him on
Red
the
Catch
shoulder, right? If I can
did get
remember.
suspended
He
though.
did, but what I'm saying is understand the frustration that one brings to the
Yeah.
table. It's a fight. You understand what I'm saying? Mike Tyson, he bit the boy ear. He bit Holyfield's
He's my
ear.
favorite boxer. Yeah, he did
Mike
bite
Tyson.
his, you know.
I
But you
watched that
know,
fight. I was watching that fight when that
Yeah.
happened, and
I did.
I
I
couldn't
was
believe
too.
it. You know what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
it's the frustration. It's a fight, man. It's nothing that you can really do. It's like you want to go ahead and throw down, but then you start going to the knees and you start doing low
See,
blows.
because when I think of like somebody like if you are mentally sound when you're in the ring and somebody pisses you off,
Mhm.
like you either have two choices. You either gonna bite the person or you're gonna like dig and like,
Well, look,
you
there's
know.
certain people that can keep a level of professionalism.
I don't think that I'm one of those people. I know I probably would bite too.
Yeah,
I
You
probably
would
would
have bit.
bite.
that's
For
funny.
sure.
No, but like there's a certain people that could keep a level of professionalism also. You
Not
understand what I'm
me.
saying? So you
Not
got
me.
a
Yeah,
certain
that's true.
when Zab Judah fought Mayweather, he was doing crazy shit to the point
Yeah.
where it got out of hand. What the first thing that Mayweather do? He went to the neutral corner and his uncle jumped in and Zab Judah started
Yeah.
throwing punches and he kept his cool the whole time and
Mhm.
completely tore Zab Judah apart after that.
Yep.
So
Yep.
he showed that he was in his head already. You understand what I'm
Yep.
saying? But certain
Yes.
people just know how to keep the cool. Like, yo, I got it, I got it,
Mhm.
and that's how it goes.
Yeah,
Yes.
I'm a big proponent of also, sports psychologists or some kind of psychologist, because there are so many that can't keep their cool, or there's certain things that go on in the outside and they just cannot focus on what's in
Yeah.
front of them.
You know what? To
Just
be
like with
honest, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're good.
In all honesty, I think that some changes need to be made for these fighters
Absolutely.
because some of these fighters do need therapy. Some of these fighters do need medical. Do you
Hmm.
know, like, I don't know what your status is, but do any of you have ever been in relationships with like a fighter?
No.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yes.
So
Yes.
you understand
Man.
what it's like
Yeah.
when they cut weight, when they have to sacrifice
Yes.
intimacy, when they
Yes.
have to sacrifice time and everything else.
Yes.
So when you get involved into these things, like you see the psychological change.
I've been in a relationship with an asshole, and I think they have the same thing. They need therapy too.
Well, I mean, listen, at the end of the day, like it's that's how it kind of works. So
Yeah,
it's
for
kind of
sure.
like when fighters lose, look at Roy Jones, right? When Roy Jones was fighting at one point of his career, he thought he was the baddest dude in the world. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Until he lost. He never
Right.
bounced back from that
Yeah,
loss.
that's true.
Adrian Broner never bounced back from
Yeah,
that loss.
Absolutely.
never. Yeah,
You know
the
what I mean?
McDonald
So
Absolutely.
loss really affected him.
when he lost, it's like, damn. You know what I mean? And then they go into a bad spiral. Camacho started
Yes.
doing coke, everything else. Like it happens. But it's a shame
Do you
that
think the fighters would be open to that? No, like if
I mean, in
if you
all
were to have
honesty,
like a therapist on your team, like
let's keep it G. We're gonna keep it G. I think a lot of them won't ever admit to it.
Right.
You know, a lot of fighters have egos. A lot of men have egos. So it's kind of like
Yes.
if a person says, "Oh, yo, I gotta go see therapy. I'll see y'all later. I ain't gonna go out tonight." You know what I'm saying? No one's gonna say that. They be like, "Yo, I got this appointment I gotta go to." You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Like no one's really
And,
gonna admit the shit.
and I think it's like now people are accepting strength and conditioning coaches. They're also accepting sports psychologists, therapists, whatever. They are doing that because if you think, if this is going to help me win, and I'm going to be the world champ, then or national champ or whatever. If you're amateur, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And we're going in that direction. We're going in that
and it should.
direction.
Now think about it this way, right? Imagine walking up to a person, completely different stranger on both of your ends, right? Imagine walking up to a completely different person at the bus stop, there at a diner, or wherever, and say, "Hey, listen, let me ask you a question. How do you feel about learning the box?" In reality, their first response is going to be like, "Yeah," because they think about hitting something.
Mm-hmm.
So before they answer, say this to them. All right, you want to learn how to box, but before you answer, I just want to let you know, you're going to get punched in your face. You might get knocked out in front of your family. You could possibly die. You got to sacrifice intimacy, and you can't eat a lot. You still want to do it?
Yeah.
It takes a special person to sit there and be like, "Oh yeah, hell yeah, I want to do this shit."
Absolutely.
No, but see, this is the name I was looking up the name. So Oliver McCall, like he's a perfect example of like when he went into the fight and he had a mental breakdown during the fight.
Yeah.
He just lost it.
No,
like,
you know what's crazy, and it's not really as popular at all for anybody is mental health.
yeah.
Everybody downplayed mental health. Everybody downplayed depression. Everybody downplays that shit, but that shit is real.
Anxiety. Absolutely.
It's real. That really, really is real. Like, all right, so you have what's that one fighter name? I can't remember his name, but he was 27-0, 27 knockouts, and he ended up killing his wife, and then he hung himself in the prison.
Oh, yes.
I forgot his name.
Was it Puerto Rican or?
He was like Ecuadorian.
Ecuadorian.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
Ecuadorian,
With the big tattoo of the flag on his chest.
I know Lee Groves. No, look at Lee in the chat. I know because we talked about this.
Edwin Valero. Yes.
I know. Lee for the win. Lee for the win.
So you know, you think about a guy like that, and it's like, yo, think about what they went through for them to come. You know, for them to do that. Yo, you sacrifice a lot of time, man. This shit ain't a game. You know what I mean? Like you honestly, even for coaches need it too. Because you spend more time with the fighter. Imagine working with a fighter
your own family.
Than what you are with your own family. Yep. Yeah. And imagine working with a fighter. You go day in and day out. You're not really getting paid. You're sacrificing time for the family. You're traveling in. You're traveling out to get to a certain level. And then the kid says, "I don't want to train with you no more. I'm going with somebody else." Yo, what? Think about that though.
Yeah.
Yo,
I know that's crazy.
You want to bite their ear.
You're gonna do a little bit more than that, but
right. But Rob, let me ask you this because we've talked about it on the show too, and I have my opinions about it. So if you look at most of the guys today that are up there on the big stage, you know, and they spiral out and they do this, you know, just like Broner and others. I believe that they're surrounded by yes men that don't want to say, "Don't do this, don't do that." Even you know, I love Errol Spence. I love him. He's from my town. I've known him since he started boxing. You know, the drinking, the driving. You know, do you believe that people are so afraid that the money train's going to end that they don't want to say no? That they're yes men?
You know what's funny is that you get a lot of okay. So in boxing, a lot of fighters are very egotistic. They're very sensitive, and they don't like to be told no, right? So that goes for anybody. So what happens is you say, "All right, I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that," and the minute one person says, "I don't think that's a good idea," oh, what the fuck you talking about? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and it turns into more of a of like a lash out, but I will want someone to tell me straight up, like, don't talk about me or nothing like that. Just talk to me. You know what I'm saying? If I did something wrong, listen, if I did something wrong 10 times in a row, I'd rather be spoken about it and not so much spread it out before it even gets to me.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, you know, you don't want somebody to always tell you yes, 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 yes. It's kind of like you always taking advice from that. Yeah, and then not only that, that's the same thing as taking advice from a single friend and they're always single.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like, come on, bro, like really, you know what I'm saying? And sometimes they shouldn't have that. They should have at least a couple people that be like, listen, I don't know what the hell he talking about, but you wrong for that.
Yeah, for sure.
And if you're gonna be mad at
Absolutely.
me,
I agree
fine.
with you
Like
100%.
Brennan, I forgot his first name. That threw the towel in for
Mark
Deontay Wilder.
Breland. Mark Breland.
Yeah, Mark
With
Breland.
Wilder. Yeah.
Yo, listen, he saved that man's life.
Sure
How you gonna be
did.
mad at him?
Sure did. Absolutely.
That's a whole nother show.
You should be thanking him.
I'm just
those people will argue that to death with you.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. But I'm with you. He saved his life.
He did
Yeah.
save his life.
And he got cut off. But you know what? So be it. He saved his life.
Yeah, I would rather save a life, get cut off, and have that in my moral conscience. Like, all right,
instead of being that guy
Absolutely.
that let your guy die in the ring.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
Absolutely.
did all right. I might have overstepped a little bit here and there, but it was for good cause. So I really don't care at this point.
But is that even overstepping? That's part of that. That was his job.
I mean,
do that.
all right, so let me ask you this: what exactly is overstepping? Because
that's to me, that's not overstepping. That's part of his job to protect your fighter.
Now, is it more of okay? So if you lined up 5 people and that's what do you consider overstepping a boundary? You're going to get 5 different answers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's sort of it's the same way as lining up 5 men or 5 women and say, what do you consider cheating? And then you're going to get 5 different answers.
Absolutely.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like you can't really put a thumb or a finger on it about what exactly is overstepping.
It's personal. It's all about the personal relationship.
Exactly. It's however way they feel it's overstepping, and you just gotta only
saving a life. That's universal. Like when
you
save a life, that's just different.
It's like if somebody choking and they doing this, and you just walk past like, damn, that's crazy.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Like, no, you gotta do something. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. No, I absolutely, I agree. That was a perfect example. I was actually thinking about that example in my head when we were talking, because that I would have to do the same thing. And I've known, and I'm sure you do, have known boxers that have actually, killed somebody in the ring, and they will never be the same. Everybody involved will never ever be the same ever.
So I'll tell you a story, and I've said this story a couple times. This was in 2009. I was at the Blue Horizon, and at the Blue Horizon, it was, I don't know if you guys have ever gone there, but it was like the best seats in the house with the top deck seats, because you were really hovering over the ring, right? Mm-hmm. And I was with a friend of mine, and my friend of mine, Tion Kennedy, was fighting somebody, and they're exchanging punches or whatever the case is, and then the kid came from Detroit, and he came in, and he was with his dad in his corner and Benny Baez. They're sitting in the corner, and the fight was waived. Tion got the victory. But I told my homie, and I was like, yo, there's something wrong with Francisco. That was his name. I can't remember his first name, though. So I was like, there's something wrong with Francisco. He was like, well, how can you tell? How's his equilibrium's off? Like, he's not there. His legs are not under him. So he walked to the corner. He sat down, and he collapsed. The dude died that night. So imagine traveling to go to a fight where you thinking in your mind you're going to go to a fight because it's your regular job and you're going to go out there and you're going to perform, you're going to win. And then you get into these wars and you die. So I'm not saying that the fight was he died because of that fight. It could be
he could have had a concussion,
whatever. A whole bunch of wars inside the gym.
Absolutely.
We don't know. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And then look. I'm gonna tell you how bad social media is. Look at when this one African guy, it went viral. Where the African guy had the one guy on the roof. He turned around, started throwing punches at somebody else. People were clowning the dude. He ended up dying.
I know.
That's crazy. Horrible. Francisco Rodriguez, that's his name. Yep.
Yeah, he said November 20th, 2009.
See?
Yes, that was horrible. Absolutely horrible. He's got family. He's got people that love him, and
it's sad, man. Look at Patrick Day. You know what I mean? Yes. You don't think that took a toll on Charles Conwell? Yeah, of course it did, bro. You know what I mean? Like at the end of the day, man, you guys are fighters. You're gonna go out there. You want to perform. You want to put your name where it needs to be, and then you want to go out there and just win. There's no really bad blood going in there and tearing each other up. Because if that was the case, look at Rolly and Tank. Them dudes were going at it the whole press conference. The first thing Tank said, he said, "Look, I hope he's cool. I thank him for the opportunity, so on and so forth."
Mm-hmm.
You understand what I'm saying? So at this point, it's not really an actual beef. You know what I mean? Like it's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. It is.
I figured that because I was about to say, yo,
but
there's
he is
no
pretty
way you
smart
was that
though.
sharp.
Trust me, he does come out with stuff, and we're like, Lee's our guy. He is.
Yeah.
He's our guy. Nika, do you have any last questions for Rob or anybody in the chat?
No, just like let everybody know where they could find you on social media, and what you're working on right now, who you're working with right now to like get the next win.
So you can find me on Instagram. I am alchemy _TSW. You can find me on. I got a Twitter. I just don't know how to use it.
That's where all the drama is.
I know, but I don't know how to use it. I gotta get somebody to help me. It's bad, whatever. So you guys can find me on there. I'm very approachable. If there's a lot of people that need help with certain tips of advice, I'm very open to answer DMs and things like that of people that need help in general. And that goes for anything. And, I don't mind helping anybody out. I got into the sport to help people and I enjoy what I do. You know what I mean? It's just, we'll see how it plays out. And then as far as whom I'm working with right now, we just got a lot of local guys we getting ready for. We got Tamir Smalls, who's getting ready for a fight coming up. We got John Carlos getting ready for a fight coming up. Hopefully we can get a date for Christian Cardo. Working in some works with some other guys. Right now it's just talks right now. So until it actually gets officially announced, it's just right now talks.
Yeah, that's true. My stuff came up twice. Righty Yogi says, "Thanks, Rob.
You're very welcome.
It's interesting to see your perspective on the sport we all love." Yeah, no, I thank you so much. Like, it was such an honor, pleasure, for you to come on here and I hear what you're saying, and I know what you're saying. It's good. It's good to have the conversations.
Most certainly, man. I enjoy this. Like I said, I enjoy what I do. I enjoy talking to people. We could do this shit all day. Like, you know what I mean? I've done interviews where that shit lasts 3 hours. They don't even bother. You know what I mean? But I enjoy it.
And we could too. Like, we really could. And
it's very enjoyable. It's different. You could tell that the conversation gets good when it goes from one subject into another, and it's a very adult, mature-like conversation. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Maybe you can get us Jerron Anderson here one day.
That's something I got to talk to his team about and see if they want to do it.
I'm sure he has a
my job is to get the man in shape. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Whatever else extra they need me to do, I just bring it to his attention. That's all.
We have another girl that's on here with us, Nancy, our girl, and we'll have to have you back whenever she comes back in town. She's in Hawaii.
Nice. I hope she's enjoying that.
I know, right?
Yeah. And well, I'll be in New York this weekend. I'm gonna be going to the Butterbeef and Joe Smith fight.
Oh my gosh! Who do you got? Who do you have?
I got Butterbeef. He's a monster.
Yeah, me
Butterbeef
too.
is a problem, man. He's too. That dude is just, he's different. He don't care about getting hit, nothing. I'm going to take you out.
I know.
Yeah, I'm kind of glad Canelo didn't fight him.
Yes, he's a different
I got to keep it real, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Are you a Canelo fan, though? Are you a Canelo fan?
I like Canelo, yes.
Okay, all right.
Yes. I still keep it real, though. Like, if I don't, I think he didn't do well, he didn't do well. You know what I'm saying?
That's how you got to be. Those are real, like, fanatics. They don't want to admit when something is like
no. I keep it real. Like, I actually thought Caleb Plant had a great shot at beating him with his boxing ability, because Canelo has a problem with boxers.
Yeah.
I thought he had a great shot.
Caleb,
I just think Caleb did specific things that hurt him that he could have had done different. You know what I mean?
Like not have a conversation in the ring with Canelo.
Not so much that. It's more don't fight Canelo off the ropes. You're not on that. He has been in there with the best of the world. He knows what to do when a person's on the rope. Yeah. Fight, keep him in the center and keep turning him, just like Islandi Lara did it, and just like the way Mayweather did it.
I have to ask you this really, really quick. Do you think that Zurdo can beat Bivol?
You know what's crazy is Bivol can rumble, man.
He can. One of my guys has fought him before. He can't. He wasn't the same after that.
I don't know. I'm gonna take a I don't know. I'm
gonna take a I don't know.
I tell you. Shushan Boxing. Hello, Luis. Hello. Lee says yes. Okay. See, if you would have asked me this a couple of years ago, I would have been like, duh, Bivol's gonna smash him. But I have seen Zurdo's skills coming up. Like he looks better. He's doing, and now I'm just kind of like, man, that's gonna be a good fight.
Yeah, I think this era here is gonna be the era of the all boxers. And I know that this is boxing and there's boxers. Yeah, I understand. But hear what I'm saying. This is gonna be the era where you're gonna see the most IQ in fighting. In a long way time. You got Shakur, you got Devin, you got Tank, you got Boots, you got.
So who do you have between Spence and Crawford?
I'm actually gonna go with Spence.
Really?
I'm gonna go with Spence.
Wow. Okay.
I'm gonna go with Spence. Yeah, I'm gonna go with Spence. I think that it all depends. I think Spence is the bigger 47. He's the more established at 47. He fought the better competition at 47. And even when he was losing against Kell Brook, he just found a way to win. He breaks people down. You know what I mean? So if he were to get hit with certain shots that Porter hit him with, and it was the same power generated from Spence, it might be a little bit of a different fight. Because let's be honest, let's keep it real. Even though Bud did fantastic against Porter, Kenny stopped the fight.
Because he knew what was coming.
No, he also said before the fight was over, before the fight even began, he said it in a post conference. He said he already knew he was going to throw in the towel.
Well, I mean, if he knew, he's not going to let his son take the beating like that.
Of course, but then that's a son thing. You understand what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, let's be honest. Look at, I mean, was he losing? Yeah, but Porter was doing well. Well, that last knockdown, he wasn't hurt. Think about it. If you're hurt, no one's going to roll over, bang on the floor, get up, walk to the neutral corner, all normal.
Yeah, but at that point, he was frustrated. He was probably going to start biting. He was
bite nobody.
On the thing, you're going to bite. You're going to bite.
Porter got some big-ass teeth, so I don't know, man. If he bites somebody up.
No, but I have to tell you this. You're so right about it is the era of boxers, and I feel what you're saying. I was blessed enough to go to the Olympics, you know, in Tokyo, and our Olympians that went back, you know, and fought. I mean, our pros that went back and fought, you know, for us. And yes, you're absolutely right. The Keyshawn Davis, Duke Reagan, Troy Eisen, all of them.
This is Mandula Mason, like all these dudes, man. Yo, I'm telling you, this is going to be that era where you're going to see boxing at its best. Absolutely. And there's going to be so many talent. You're going to be like, damn, I can't wait to see this guy fight. Actually, to be honest, this might even be an era where most fans may consider it boring.
Yes.
Because there's so much boxing.
You know that's what they said between Haney and Kambosos, that it was a boring fight because.
But I mean, think about it. Look at Scooter.
Haney, all he had to do was work that job, you know.
Scooter did the same thing. Scooter outboxed the bullshit out of Daniel Roman, and it was boring to watch. But he did his job. Scooter got crazy IQ.
Right, and that's what I love. I love to see that.
So I think that this is going to be the era where the true fans are going to come out more, and where it's going to weed out those fans that say, "Oh, he's a bum," but never did it before.
Yeah. I hate that when they call anybody a bum.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's just disrespectful. But no, so I totally agree with you. And then wait till you see what we got coming out of here. We got a whole new crop of young champs, and we'll
No,
see.
I believe it. I believe it. I
Yeah,
can't wait. I can't wait. Hopefully, one day in the
it's
future, I get to work with some of them people.
absolutely, absolutely. We're gonna keep stating your name. That's for sure. But again, I thank you so much. Of course, see
You're
there
very
we
welcome.
go. It's like we're ending
Thank you
it, and
so
then we
much,
talk about
y'all.
something else. But I appreciate you. We want to have you on again. It was an honor and a pleasure, and I appreciate you so much. And
Very
everybody
good.
Yes,
have a
Thank you
thanks
great
for
so much,
night.
coming
y'all.
on.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
having me
I
on.
want to give a
Rob.
shout out
Thanks
to,
for
I
being the
think it was
champ.
Jamil Parker. He was the one that hit me up and said,
That's my
hey,
man. That's
yeah,
my
I want to give
man.
a
That's
shout out to
my
Okay.
him
man.
because he's the one that hit me up and said, hey,
That's my
Rob
Yeah,
man.
Acosta would like
Yeah,
to do
awesome.
an interview. So
that's a real
shout
good
out to
friend of
him.
mine, and you know, he knows where my mind is always at with this type of stuff. Like he's always pushing me, like, yo, you got to go call this person. You got to call that person. You know what I'm
That's
saying?
awesome. That's a
Yeah.
good friend to
That's my
have.
man.
That's for
That's my man.
sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
He's that. He's that. He's not the yes man. He's like, yo, bro, you're an idiot. You know what I'm
Yeah.
I
saying?
love
Like,
it.
you know what I'm
You
I
saying?
need
love
those
it.
kind of friends for sure, man.
Absolutely.
For
Those are
sure.
the real friends. The
Yeah.
real friends. Thank y'all so much. Everybody have a good night.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
we will
Thanks a
see
lot.
you
Yeah.
all next Wednesday. Thank
Yes, sir.
you. Bye
All right.
bye.
Have a
Bye.
good one.